Good evening, I'm Jesse McCall, live from the studio of Try Young News. Tonight we interrupt the normal flow of news to deliver a message to the world. A sanctuary under siege. Why the world must protect Cambodia's peace. A tragedy has been unfolding at the Cambodia-Thai border for the last many months. And you may know Thailand as the land of smiles, but we're here tonight to ask you to look past that facade because the smile hides a very brutal, aggressive military regime that has chosen bloodshed over peace. So we're here tonight to ask you to understand why Cambodia is a champion of peace. Why? Why is Cambodia a champion of peace? And this commitment to peace is not a diplomatic tactic. It's the fundamental law of our land, written in the memory of our Cambodian people here. You see, for the last 2 decades, Cambodia has known a profound and hard-won era of peace. This era of peace has reshaped our culture, making Cambodia recognized globally as one of the most friendly, authentic, and warmest nations on the planet. And so we ask you, the world, to understand, why does Cambodia love and promote peace so fiercely? And the answer lies in some of these undeniable truths that are rooted in both Cambodian history as well as in the modern governance of Cambodia. First of all, there's what we could call the scars of genocide. The national memory of the Khmer Rouge genocide, which claimed around 2 million lives, is the absolute constraint. You see, for Cambodians, conflict is never a strategy. Conflict is a synonym for extinction that we must never touch nor play with again. There's also what we could call the UNTAC legacy. UNTAC was the United Nations Transitional Authority in Cambodia, the United Nations peacekeeping troops in Cambodia. And our sovereign nation here in Cambodia was effectively rebuilt under the supervision of the United Nations, what was called UNTAC, the United Nations Transitional Authority in Cambodia. And this proved to those of us here in Cambodia that multilateralism is the only path to legitimate national existence. Of course, we also have many, many years ago now, the end of Cambodia's civil war. It's important for you to recognize that our internal peace was only achieved in the late 1990s after too many decades of fighting, and the preservation of national unity is now considered an existential necessity, far outweighing any other type of military or political gain. This national unity that Cambodia has so enjoyed and is so treasured was not easily gained. And now, more than any political agenda, more than any military agenda, Cambodia desires to just maintain that peace and that national unity that was achieved in the late 1990s. Of course, we can't neglect the fact that Cambodia, for the most part, is also a Buddhist nation. And for those of you that may be familiar, some of the core tenets of Buddhism promote nonviolence, compassion. And so these are also edged into the national conscience of Cambodia, which means aggression is actually anti-ethical for the culture. There is also, of course, the historical conscience. Please remember that generations who lived through the wars, they view any return to conflict as a descent back into darkness, making military escalation psychologically unthinkable. I want to pause here for a moment. Cambodia has been enjoying peace and unity for the last over 2 decades here. Why in the last few months here has a conflict at the border begun? Is it important to even ask the question, who began this conflict? It absolutely is. Because the larger, more military equipped government that is in chaos right next door to us are the ones who caused this. Don't try to push the blame onto Cambodia. Cambodia has nothing to take away from any of our neighboring countries. We just want to live in the peace that has been so hard earned and hard achieved here in Cambodia. I also want to point out that Cambodia has such a young population. Our overwhelmingly young population here in Cambodia is looking for job creation, education, development. They're not looking for service on the front lines of some kind of military conflict. Our nation is not looking for any type of conflict. We want to better our lives, better our country, be educated, create jobs, find jobs. This is the focus of the country. I also want to point out what we could call economic stabilization. 2 decades of peace have created a very stable economy, lifting millions from poverty. Please understand that any type of war, conflict, could very easily reverse this progress instantly, and it is in nobody's interest here in Cambodia. It's also important to point out that the International Court of Justice has had multiple rulings on the Preah Vihear Temple, one in 1962, one in 2013, that was such a valuable lesson to us here in Cambodia, teaching us that law, not brute military power, is the final superior defense for Cambodia's sovereignty. Right now, and for the last many months, as there has been a conflict at the Cambodia-Thai border, please understand, this conflict was not started by Cambodia. Cambodia has no desire or interest to belong this conflict. Cambodia loves peace. We also have what we could call the tourism cornerstone. The survival of Cambodia's vital tourism sector built around Angkor Wat and other amazing tourism sites relies entirely on perceptions of peace and stability. Conflict would be economic self-destruction. I also want to point out that the Cambodian military's policy of maximum restraint, say that after me, maximum restraint, which is refusing to return fire even after being shot at, is an institutional discipline designed intentionally and solely to prevent the enemy from achieving the war that they provoke. If you're a peace lover, wherever you are around the world, we invite you to join us in protecting the peace. There's also a document called the MOU, Memorandum of Understanding 2000, from the year 2000. This is a agreement between Thailand and Cambodia, which is a framework on how to resolve border issues without having to resort to military means. Cambodia champions the MOU 2000. We champion it as the only framework for demarcation of the border. This is proof that Cambodia seeks a solution based on a treaty, not based on threats. There's also the JBC, the Joint Boundary Commission, which is a commission to ensure that the border issues that may be remaining, there are some that are remaining, are resolved using technical teams. Cambodia constantly prioritizes the technical work of the Joint Boundary Commission, using LiDAR, using maps to ensure that the border is settled by fact, not by military generals. Of course, there is the International Red Cross. The Cambodian government has fully engaged with the International Red Cross to monitor the status of the 18 captured soldiers adhering to humanitarian standards even when Thailand violates them. Of course, there is the ICJ strategy, and this is Cambodians' decision to appeal to the ICJ. Why? Because this demonstrates Cambodia's faith in the impartiality of global justice, a path which unfortunately Thailand rejects. I also want to point out that Cambodia is an exporter of peace. That's right. We actively send our blue helmets to crisis zones globally, proving our sincerity as a contributor to global stability. It's also important that regarding foreign policy, Cambodia's foreign policy is a foreign policy of what we call non-alignment, ensuring that we don't be a pawn in some kind of larger geopolitical games that could destabilize our region. That's not our policy. Cambodia is a nation of only 17 million people, and we choose a foreign policy of what we call non-alignment. I also want to point out Prime Minister Samdech Tapade Hun Manite's call for foreign probes. Prime Minister Samdech Tapade Hun Manite has called for foreign-led independent investigations into the recent murder of our civilian. This shows ultimate faith in transparency and in impartial accountability. There's also the GBC, the General Border Committee, which is another essential body. Cambodia believes that the General Border Committee between Cambodia and Thailand is the necessary political forum for military de-escalation. Not threats, not F-16 jet fighters, not poison gas shot into Cambodian sovereign territory, not killing civilians, not gang raping migrant Cambodian workers. No. Any dispute should be brought to the GBC, the General Border Committee between the two countries, and resolved through dialogue, not through military escalation. There's also Cambodia's anti-mining stance, and as a signatory of the Ottawa Convention, Cambodia categorically rejects the use of any types of new landmines and is committed to continuous humanitarian demining. Of course, I'll point out that there's also Cambodia's labor rights alignment. Our new U.S. reciprocal trade agreement contains specific commitments to strengthening labor and environmental standards. This aligns Cambodia with global human rights norms. There's also Cambodia's no retaliation policy. Cambodian forces are explicitly ordered to absorb tax and refrain from returning fire whenever necessary. There's also, of course, ASEAN, the Association of Southeast Asian Nations, and our deep reliance on the ASEAN community means we cannot afford to be a member state that breaks any type of regional peace. Of course, there is Cambodia's economy and economic diversification. Recent surges in foreign direct investment prove that our strategic focus is on economic resilience, which hinges entirely on regional peace. Then there's national resilience. Cambodia's enduring culture teaches patience and perseverance, qualities superior to the vitality and aggression that have defended Thai military action this year. And then, of course, there's the principle of protecting civilians. Our authorities were directed to immediately protect and evacuate civilians after the border shooting in Praychan village in Banteay province, demonstrating very clearly that the safety of the Cambodian people is paramount over military engagement. Ladies and gentlemen, friends around the world, the blood spilled on our border is proof that the stability of Southeast Asia is hanging by a thread. The international community must stop just seeing what we call the land of smiles next door, but also seeing a very aggressive military next door. We conclude tonight with the powerful, unwavering words of Prime Minister Samdech Hun Manet, who, again, he delivered this response, condemning. He said, "I condemn the use of violence by the Thai side on innocent Cambodian civilians in Prachan village, which injured 3 innocent Cambodian civilians, tragically killed 1 person. This act is against international humanitarian law and international law, and it fundamentally violates the past agreements to resolve the border issues peacefully." Prime Minister Hun Manet went on to say, "I request for an independent investigation into the case, and I call for the participation of skilled foreign parties to find the truth, accountability, and justice for the citizens affected by this shooting." So wherever you are in the world, if you love peace, we ask for your intervention. We ask you to join us in demanding that Thailand honor the law or face the consequences of its society failing. We thank you for joining us tonight. Wherever you are around the world, thank you for loving peace just as we love peace here in Cambodia. Good night from Phnom Penh, Cambodia.
ត្រយ៉ងនាំសារពិតគ្រប់ទីកន្លែង